Can everyone trust the police? Well, I think we could trust them more if there were guns, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe ban women from the police force.
Hello and welcome to Women Unfiltered, where each week we bring you frank and honest debate, all from a female perspective. On the show today, ally or enemy, we're discussing whether women in Britain can ever trust the police again. And we ask, should abortion be a criminal issue? This comes after a woman was jailed for inducing an abortion after the legal time limit. As always, we'll be filling in the blanks of some of this week's trending news headlines. And later, your questions will be answered. Now, joining me today are three fierce females. Agony aunt and advice editor at The Sun, Sally Land.
Thank you.
Former Chief Superintendent Palm Sandhu. And YouTuber and content creator Pearl Davis. But now, buckle up, because this is Women Unfiltered. First up, faith in the police has been rapidly declining since the murder of Sarah Everard in March of 2021, and more recently, the horrific case of serial rapist David Carrick. This prompted Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley to reveal that the force is currently investigating 1,000 sexual and domestic abuse claims involving about 800 of its officers. A recent YouGov stat showed that under half of women in the UK trust the police. Sally, it's clear then from that stat that women don't actually feel safe with the police. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the headlines that you've just referenced within the last 2 to 3 years have been utterly devastating. So it's no surprise that confidence in the police has been dented.
I think we're in a very bad situation at the moment because the police themselves aren't admitting that there's a problem, and we've all heard the comments from the Commissioner Mark Rowley, where there's been a recent report which is done by Dame Louise Casey, and she's pointed out the failings of policing, but they're not accepting they've got a problem. So how do you find a solution? And so for me, the first step is admit there's a problem, find the solution, and then through that, women themselves will start feeling safer and trust the police more.
I'm curious, there's 1,000 assault claims, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, and how many police officers are there? I don't know, I'm not from the US.
I mean, this is covering 800 officers for those 1,000 accusations.
Okay,
So it's
because
a
I
high
just think there's a
number.
difference between like accusations and convictions.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah.
There's about 33,000 police officers in London, and that 1,000 is part of that 33,000.
Oh, so it's one?
Yeah, so those are the
So
ones
that's
in
like less
London.
than like what, 2%?
But that's 2% too many.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
2%
small.
too many.
But it's
I mean, but it's like if 1% of women do something, am I going to blame all of women?
okay.
Like if 2% of women, like does that include me now? And I just think that we're kind of going to dangerous territory if we're going to say 2% of a whole entire population. You're going to make that generalization about all of them.
I would say that you
again,
have
these
to
are-
be able to trust the police. That is the cornerstone of justice in our society, to have that faith, not just for women, for gay people, for people, black people, Asian people. The report said that there's a problem with misogyny, homophobia. Women feel safe, and whether they have a responsibility to make themselves feel safer, it's actually for police to give them that
Okay, but how?
confidence.
How? Like, because a lot of times it's like how do you do that? I mean, I'm American. I'd give them. We have different solutions there, but how?
If I could jump in there, because the issue there is, even if you've only got 1% of officers who are domestic violence abusers, that's 1%
And that's,
too
well,
much.
that's accusations, right? And we kind of get into a dangerous territory when we start treating an accusation like a criminal offense.
And you're absolutely right, and the majority of police officers are good, hard-working individuals, and they're there for the right reason.
Right.
But those individuals are in a position of trust. So when you've got a member of the public, is that member of the public going to call the police officer who himself is a domestic violence abuser? And that's where the danger is.
But it's not solely a problem about that, some police officers. It's also, I know you've spoken about this, female officers within the force don't feel that they can always speak out against male colleagues because they're worried about the impact on them. And is that a serious problem?
Absolutely, and that is probably the second step. Where you're talking about what should we do about it, the second step is to create a safe environment so that serving officers, whether they're male or female, can speak up and make their voice heard.
I think, again, accusations does not equal guilt. And you get into a tricky place where we're saying, oh, the people accusing them should just be heard. Well, they should be heard if there's evidence and they can prove it.
I don't think anyone here would disagree with what you're saying. An accusation is not the same as a conviction. However, if you have such high levels of misogyny, racism.
Misogyny, like what high levels of, like, we need to define it, right? Because a lot of times we throw around these terms and it's like, what is misogyny? What does that mean? Because I thought it was the hatred of women, and I don't see police officers left and right. You know, I've been in here, the UK, a year and a half. I don't see them openly hating women.
Well, I think the bigger picture here is that people have lost trust in the police, whether they're accusations or convictions. Women have lost trust in the police. There was discussion around the time of this tragic case that men should take some of the responsibility for women feeling safe, and that they should have, it was discussion at the time that men should perhaps stay indoors at certain times so that women could feel confident.
That is the most sexist policy I have ever heard. That is open sexism. That is open, like, you're going to tell all of men they can't go out after 11 p.m.?
And some men were willing to do that, and other people were up in arms. It was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a really sexist policy. I think this is why I think guns are really important. I'm American, so
controversial.
Yeah, like, again, you know, if you're walking home alone at night and you have a gun, you'd feel a lot safer. I personally would. As someone that gets, I get death threats all the time. I wish I was in a country where, I could have guns and the right to bear arms.
Not going too much on a tangent, but we have a real knife crime problem here. I don't know if we necessarily want to add an additional issue into the mix, but let's move on. Now, a mother of 3 received a 28-month sentence for taking abortion pills at home after the legal limit. 44-year-old Carla Foster received the medication via the Pills by Post scheme introduced in lockdown, but wasn't honest about how far along her pregnancy was at the time of her consultation. Now, Sally, can I bring you in here? What do you think of this case and her sentencing?
I don't think there's any woman who chooses to have an abortion lightly, and I certainly see it in my email box every single week. The tortured decision making that women do go through when they decide to have an abortion, and in some cases not. This mum of 3 will have made an absolutely horrific decision, and I don't think prison is the place for her. She has flashbacks, she is traumatized, she has depression, she is haunted by the face of her dead daughter's face every single day. I think she knows she made a mistake. A custodial sentence is not the answer.
Mm-hmm. And Palm, this, is going back to a law that was created in 1861. Do you think it's right that we're still using it today?
I think the whole situation is really complex, and it is particularly horrendous. And what we've got to remember is, why do people get sent to prison? Number one, it's so that they're not a danger to the public. Number 2 is to rehabilitate them. Now, is this woman going to go to prison? Is she a danger to the public, or is she going to be rehabilitated in prison? I don't think she's going to fit either of those categories.
How far along was she?
Between 32 and 34 weeks.
Okay, so that's like 7 months?
8.
8 months.
That's 8 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so disgusting. That's literally disgusting. There's babies that have survived at 6 months, like 6.5. So I actually think that's gross, and she should go to jail for that.
But what do you think about
8 months?
women's
like,
rights?
That's crazy.
But what do you think this represents for women's rights, this decision that she's gone to prison for this? What do you think that's done for women's rights and the autonomy to our own bodies?
I think, you have the right to do what you want with your body, but not to someone else's body. And that's a full-grown child, especially at 8 months. Can you imagine if that baby was born early and they threw an 8-month-old baby off of a bridge, something like that? There would be an uproar. There would be an absolute uproar. But for some reason, she has no consequences for taking an abortion pill at 8 months.
I don't think there should be no consequences. In our country, abortion is legal to the upper limit of 24 weeks. Mm-hmm. I think, whether or not that should be lowered or higher is a matter for the democratic process. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with what she did. Mm-hmm. However, I cannot understand what is going to be gained by sending her to prison. She has 3 sons, one of whom has special needs. How are those children going to benefit from their mother being in prison for over a year?
Because again, if you let her do that, then other women will see that and do the same thing. I think we have laws for a reason. So I don't think it's like, oh, I can just break the law and have no consequence. You broke the law. Like,
I don't think anybody's saying it's right. Well, we're not saying it's right or wrong, or I should say that's my view on it. What we're saying is the punishment. Does the punishment fit what she's done?
Yes.
But that's the question. But the punishment,
yes.
the reason that people are sent to prison is for rehabilitation or because if they're a danger to the public. Now, this woman isn't going to go and attack other women and cause abortions, is she? And in addition to that, if I may, I've held the hand of many rape victims, many victims of incest who make that difficult decision. It's never somebody else's decision, it's that individual's decision for whatever reason. So taking away the right to abortions or the right to do that to your body, it's a really complex area, and it's something that you've got to tread really lightly.
But 8 months, you don't think that should be legal for them to get
We're not
abortions
saying
up to 8 months?
it's not about the legality because
no, I'm just asking you personally. You don't think up to 8 months it should be legal?
all I'm saying is that when they abort a baby at 7 or 8 weeks, it's flushed down the toilet. Now, she's a mother. She knew that a baby that was already 8 months, she's not going to flush that down the toilet. She wasn't thinking straight. Her head is a mess. Now, if she's mentally or emotionally unstable, what good is it to send her to prison?
I think it shows women you can't do that, because if you don't have her go to prison, then other women are going to do the same
You're
thing.
You're never going to end up 8 months pregnant considering taking illegal pills in terms of you should have taken before 10 weeks. Unless you are in an absolutely horrendous situation, unless you have been raped, unless you are in a domestic violence situation.
99.5, like, I'm just correcting you because this isn't correct. 99.5% of abortions are elective. I've looked up the stats here, it's not true. The majority are literally elective. It's like 0.05% that are because of what you're mentioning.
What do you mean by elective?
Elective as in they don't have a reason.
I'm going to disagree with that figure. I'm going to disagree with that figure because I know
I've never seen that stat.
It's self-reported.
No, but all I'm going to say is that I know that having dealt with rape and incest,
but I'm saying it's 0.05%.
Technically, that would be considered an elective abortion.
No, there's a box, they can click it.
But if you've been raped, you elect to have an abortion, or if you've been victim of incest, it's considered an elective. You choose to have.
No, it's not. It says rape on it. It's rape.
But also,
incest,
if you're just discussing on a personal level, ticking a box doesn't really necessarily mean anything about someone's experience, why they're there. I think the bigger picture, which we should
believe women. That's what they said. They said why they got the abortion. I thought, don't we believe women here?
But I don't think anyone's questioning that. This is such an unusual case, and in fact, it's 0.1% of abortions happen after 24 weeks. On that basis alone, this is so unusual. The vast majority in this country happen before 10 weeks. And in any case, no woman just goes, oh, do you know, I'm not going to take my contraception pill. I'm just going to go for an abortion because it's just easier.
Right, but this is all based on stories and what they're saying.
Pearl, you have to believe people, because if somebody comes to me and says, I've been raped, I have to believe them. I can't say, I don't believe you.
Why would I just openly believe women?
I think it's very dangerous territory to start saying that we shouldn't believe women who have either been raped or have been victims of incest.
No, that have no evidence.
Should we believe men when they've gone through something? If they're victims of sexual assault?
It's not a gender issue.
No,
you should believe people.
Yes,
if they...
absolutely.
No, I think you need evidence at the end of the day, because I think we're in a dangerous territory when we just openly believe. Like, you can completely defame someone's reputation off of what? A story? No, you need evidence. If that was your son, you wouldn't want them to do that.
Well, this lady wasn't accusing anyone. She was asking for help. And I don't think you ask for help unless you are in trouble, unless you have a serious problem on your hands.
Now, this is the part of the show where we take a look at some of the week's headlines circling our debate and we try to fill in the blanks. So, kicking off with the first one. The awarded a counselling contract to a group set up to stop abortions.
I'm going to go BBC.
Okay.
I'm thinking government or NHS.
Yes.
Oh,
Boom. You were
I
right.
was gonna add to BBC because that's the only one I know.
I think it needs to be completely unbiased, and
Yeah.
I don't think essentially the NHS should be getting involved in what is a highly politicised issue.
Can we agree like less abortions is better for women?
No.
Like women, didn't you just say all the trauma women go through when they get an abortion? Do you think like this is mentally like
I
good for
said
women?
the trauma that women go through making that decision.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be
Not
better?
having an
Wouldn't it be
abortion.
better if we had less unplanned pregnancies, less abortions?
I think that's a huge leap to go from one to the other.
Okay, so it's abortions are good for the mental health of women.
I
There are
think
situations
pro-choice.
where things happen to women and abortion is the only option sometimes.
Should biologically male police officers be able to women?
Search.
Pearl, what do you think it is?
Search, that was a good guess.
Yeah,
Takers.
times 3.
Okay, it's strip search.
Okay.
Sally, what do you make of that?
Biologically male.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Palm.
Not as a norm. However, if there's a dangerous situation, it may have to happen.
Right.
For example, if a woman's secreted a knife about her body somewhere or something that's going to harm her and others, there may be, 1 in a million chance that needs to happen, but normally no.
All right, lastly, new Wayne Couzens will explore culture of misogyny in police.
Review?
I'm going to take her as a review.
Yeah, investigation.
Well, the answer is documentary.
Okay.
Sally, do you think we need a documentary on this?
I think we need to reflect more and learn more from the mistakes made.
Okay.
Definitely.
I think it'd be really interesting. There's a lot of public interest in it at the moment, and also it will dispel the myth that the police are above the law, which is what Wayne Couzens said, which is what Carrick said, that even if they were reported, because they were police officers, that they'd get away with it.
You've been sending us your questions ahead of this week's show. We're going to do our best to answer one of them now. Elizabeth asks, can any of us trust the police service? It's failing everyone, not just women. But what's the alternative? Pearl.
Can everyone trust the police? Well, I think we could trust them more if there were guns,
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, maybe ban women from the police force.
Okay.
Yes.
What would that achieve?
I would feel a lot safer, to be honest. Like, I'm just thinking, all right, if I'm in my apartment and someone's breaking in, and now I'm on my last, like, I'm so scared, I'm hiding, it's a man, like, how am I going to be protected? And I call, you used to be a police officer, you come in, what is she going to do? Like, that I couldn't do.
So what if it was a different crime? What if, God forbid, you were a victim of some sort of assault?
I would prefer, if I was being assaulted,
No,
a man to save me.
If you were reporting something after the incident had happened, would you still want a male officer to be holding your hand if you've gone through something incredibly traumatic?
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the, like, I don't have a problem with them doing the, like, non-combat, like, stuff, but I'm just saying I would feel safer if when I called I knew a guy was coming.
I have been to so many assaults, so many issues, fights and everything. Mm-hmm. The women can talk their way out of situations, they can calm, they can diffuse. Do you really want police officers to turn up to shoot people, to batter them with their batons or to kick them in? No, you want them to diffuse the situation. And I used to have that attitude like 20, 30 years ago where people would turn around and say, I want a man, or I want a white person, or I want somebody from this sexual persuasion.
I just want
that is just so antiquated.
I want someone stronger than me.
I'm really glad that we haven't got the American style.
I don't really know where to begin with that. I feel like I've gone to the dark ages.
Yeah.
I mean,
Have that
it's
effect.
not just about physical strength.
It is if
Both-
someone's
both
attacking
gender-
you.
but both
if someone's oh
genders-
my gosh. If someone's attacking you, you don't think it's about physical strike.
But there's so much more that the police have to deal with.
Police officers
than-
don't just
than
roll around on the
physical
floor.
assault. A lot of what the police officers are dealing with now is mental health fallout. Why can't women help victims with mental health issues just as well as men?
One, isn't that what therapists are for? Like, what are they?
I certainly don't think making all police officers male would help the situation at all, especially when we're talking about the fact that women currently don't have faith in the police force.
That's all we've got time for today. My thanks to Sally, Palm and Pearl. Don't forget to like, subscribe and let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this debate, whether you agree, disagree with any of us. And we'll see you next time for more Women Unfiltered.